Let me start with the truth nobody tells you. You're not nervous because you're weak. You're nervous because the conversation matters. If it didn't matter, you wouldn't feel anything. So before we go any further, let's reframe what's happening. Your body isn't betraying you, it's preparing you. That tight chest, that fast heartbeat, that shaky breath. Those are signs your system is gearing up to help you show up. It's energy, not danger. And the moment you understand that, your entire relationship with nervousness changes. Here's the biggest mistake people make before a tough conversation. They try to force themselves to feel confident. But confidence is not a feeling. Confidence is a behavior. You act confident first, the feeling shows up later. So let's walk through what actually works. First, nervousness is not a weakness. It's proof you care. Think about it. You don't get nervous asking someone to pass the salt. You get nervous when you're about to speak your truth. Set a boundary, ask for what you need, confront something uncomfortable, or stand up for yourself. That's not insecurity. That's emotional investment. And instead of fighting that feeling, acknowledge it. I'm nervous because this matters. Instant calm, instant grounding. Second, prepare your message, not a script. Most people try to memorize every word and then panic when one sentence goes off track. That doesn't create clarity, it creates pressure. Don't memorize paragraphs. Memorize the point. Ask yourself, what do I need to say? Why does it matter? What outcome do I want? When you know these three things, your anxiety has nothing to feed on. Clarity kills nervousness. Third, control your physiology. You can't outthink a nervous system that's in panic mode. You slow the body first, then the mind follows. Try this. Inhale for 4 seconds, a hold for 2, exhale for 6. When your exhale is longer than your inhale, your brain gets a message. We're safe. Your voice steadies. Your thoughts line up. Your body stops trying to protect you from a threat that isn't actually there. Fourth, detach from the outcome. Most of your anxiety doesn't come from the conversation itself. It comes from the story you're telling yourself about what might happen. What if they get upset? What if they misunderstand? What if this makes things worse? But here's the truth. You don't control their reaction. You control your delivery. You control your honesty. You control your tone. And you control your integrity. That is enough. When you detach from their response, you take your power back instantly. You walk into the conversation grounded instead of walking and trying to manage their emotions. Fifth, walk in with purpose. Not fear, not panic, purpose. Stand up straight. Shoulders relaxed, voice steady. Pace slow. This isn't arrogance. It's intentional energy. Because confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to move despite it. When you behave confidently, your brain follows and your nervousness starts to lose its grip. You're teaching your body that you're the one in charge. Now, let's talk about what happens right before the conversation. That moment when your hands shake and your heart is pounding. Here's what you do. Pause. Breathe. Remind yourself, I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be clear. Perfection creates pressure. Clarity creates calm. Then walk in and speak slowly. Nervous people rush. Secure people pace their words. And if you stumble, if your voice cracks, if you lose your place for a moment, it's fine. Nobody is grading you. You're not giving a performance. You're communicating something important. The power is not in the delivery. The power is in the message. And most importantly, treat yourself with respect during the conversation. Don't shrink. Don't apologize for existing. Don't minimize your needs. Speak from your truth, not from your fear. Because at the end of the day, the goal is not to eliminate nervousness. It's to learn how to handle it. Nervousness doesn't mean you're incapable. It means you're human. And humans can be anxious and still effective. They can be scared and still strong. They can be shaky and still powerful. So before your next big conversation, remember this: you are more prepared than you think. You are stronger than you feel. And you are absolutely capable of speaking clearly even with butterflies in your chest. Walk in with purpose. Speak with clarity. And let nervousness be the sign that you're doing something meaningful, not something impossible. Nervousness is not a weakness. It's proof you care. It's the physical reminder that whatever you're about to do actually matters to you. People think confidence means feeling nothing, being unshakable, walking into every conversation with zero doubt. But real confidence isn't the absence of nerves. It's the ability to move while those nerves are still buzzing inside you. Nervousness shows up when you're about to express something honest, confront something difficult, or take a risk that could change the direction of a relationship, a job, or your life. It's the indicator that your heart is involved, your values are engaged, and the outcome matters enough to stir something in you. Think about it. You don't get nervous grocery shopping. You don't feel butterflies asking someone to close the door. You feel nervous when you're preparing to reveal a truth, ask for clarity, request respect, or express a boundary. That's not insecurity. That's emotional investment. And emotional investment is a strength, not a flaw. Nervousness means you're plugged into the moment. It means you're paying attention. It means you're human.
The problem is not the feeling itself, it's the story we attach to it. We say, I'm nervous, so something must be wrong. Or, I'm nervous, so I'm not ready. Or worse, I'm nervous, so I'm not strong enough for this. But none of that is true. Nervousness is your system getting you ready. Your body elevates your heart rate to deliver more oxygen. Your hands shake because adrenaline wants to help you act. Your stomach flips because your system is prioritizing alertness over digestion. Your body isn't betraying you, it's preparing you. The feeling that you interpret as a warning is actually your physiology trying to sharpen you. The same sensations you call fear can also be labeled as excitement, anticipation, readiness. The difference isn't the feeling, it's the meaning you give it. When you say, I'm nervous, but this matters, your shoulders relax. Your breathing softens, your mind steadies, you stop fighting the feeling, and you start working with it. Nervousness only grows when you resist it. When you accept it, it dissolves into something survivable, something manageable, something useful. And here's something most people never realize. Confident people feel nervous too. They just don't make it a problem. They expect it, they understand it. They don't treat it like a threat. They treat it like a signal. They say, good, my body's awake, I'm engaged, let's use this. They don't try to eliminate nerves. They try to channel them. And that's what separates someone paralyzed by nervousness from someone who can function through it. It's not about eliminating the sensation. It's about eliminating the panic you attach to the sensation. You can be shaky and still strong. You can be breathless and still clear. You can be anxious and still effective. Nervousness doesn't disqualify your ability to communicate. It simply highlights that this moment requires intention. And intention is a superpower. The more you understand emotional responses, the less they control you. Nervousness feels uncomfortable, but discomfort doesn't indicate incapability. It indicates importance. If you were truly not ready for a big conversation, you wouldn't feel nervous, you'd feel indifferent. Nervousness is a sign you're right where you need to be, at the edge of growth, at the doorway of honesty, at the moment where your voice could change something. It's the emotional friction that comes before courage kicks in, and courage doesn't show up in calm moments. Courage shows up precisely when nervousness does. Courage isn't loud or dramatic. It's quiet, steady, subtle. Courage is the act of speaking even when your voice wavers. It's the act of showing up even when your heart is pounding. It's the willingness to be seen when your instinct is to shrink. Nervousness and courage walk into every conversation together. One reminds you of the risk. The other reminds you of your capability. So instead of asking, how do I stop being nervous? A better question is, how do I handle my nervousness well? Because the goal isn't to remove the feeling. The goal is to operate through it with clarity and intention. Nervousness becomes more manageable when you stop judging yourself for feeling it. When you accept it, breathe through it, and let it be part of the experience instead of treating it like a personal flaw. Your nervousness means you care about the outcome, the relationship, the message, or the moment. It means you're stepping into something meaningful. And people who step into meaningful things are always at least a little nervous. So the next time your heart starts racing before a conversation, don't say, I'm falling apart. Say, I'm preparing. Because that is exactly what's happening. When you prepare for a conversation, a presentation, or a difficult discussion, the goal is not to memorize every line like a script. The moment you do that, you start putting pressure on yourself to perform instead of communicate. And when the focus shifts from connection to performance, anxiety sneaks in. That's why preparing your message, not a script, is one of the smartest ways to stay calm, clear, and confident. Think about the times you tried to remember exact sentences. You probably stumbled, repeated yourself, or froze when the other person responded in a way you didn't expect. That happens because scripts aren't built for real conversations. They don't allow room for interruptions, emotions, or natural flow. But when you prepare the message, the idea you want to deliver, the intention behind your words, and the point you want the other person to walk away with, then you become flexible. You're no longer locked into memorization, you're anchored in meaning. Preparing the message means knowing what you want to say, why you want to say it, and what outcome you're hoping to create. When that becomes clear in your mind, your words start to come out naturally. You don't need to worry about exact phrasing because your clarity guides you. Your body relaxes, your tone softens, your mind stops racing. Anxiety hates clarity because clarity gives you control. When your mind knows the destination, it no longer panics about every step. Imagine telling someone you care about something important. If you try to rehearse it line by line, you'll sound robotic or nervous. But if you take a moment to understand your message, maybe it's, I want us to communicate better, or I need more support, or I want to express appreciation, then you can speak from a place that is real and steady. The message becomes your anchor. Clarity also makes you more present. Instead of thinking ahead to your next line or worrying about forgetting a phrase, you're engaged in the moment. You can listen without fear. You can adjust your tone based on how the other person reacts. You can pause without panicking. A script doesn't allow this. A script forces you into a box where the only goal is to not mess up. That's why so many people fear speaking. They think they must deliver something perfect instead of something honest. Preparing your message helps you drop that pressure. You're free to be human, authentic, and responsive. Another benefit is that clarity shortens your sentences and sharpens your thoughts. When you rehearse a script, you often add unnecessary words because you're trying to sound polished, but clarity strips that away. You communicate the core, the truth. Point. People respond better to that. They connect faster. They understand quicker. They feel your intention instead of getting lost in your performance. This matters in personal relationships, in the workplace, and even in everyday conversations. When your message is simple and clear, you don't have to try to impress people. You naturally express yourself in a way that earns trust. Anxiety also rises when your brain feels overloaded. Memorizing every word drains mental energy. Trying to recall it drains more, and managing fear of forgetting drains even more. That's a triple layer of pressure you don't need. But when you prepare a message, you relieve your brain. You hand it a clear focus. This is what I want to communicate. Suddenly, you have more mental space to breathe. Think and speak. The conversation becomes less of a test and more of an exchange. You're not acting, you're expressing. You're not performing, you're connecting. When people say they're afraid of saying the wrong thing, it's usually because they don't have clarity about what the right thing is. When they say they get nervous speaking up, it's often because they're trying to say too much at once. When they say they freeze, it's because their brain is juggling too many memorized lines. Clarity fixes that. It simplifies the task to one central idea. And the moment something becomes simple, it becomes manageable. Preparing your message also makes you sound more confident because confidence is not about having perfect words. It's about knowing what you mean. When you're rooted in your message, even if you pause, even if you rephrase, even if you stumble, you still come across as strong because your intention is steady. People don't remember your exact sentences. They remember how you made them feel, the strength of your point, and the energy behind your delivery. That only happens when you speak from clarity, not memorization. That's why preparing your message, not script, is a skill that reduces anxiety and increases impact. It gives you freedom, presence, calmness, and authenticity. And when you show up that way, conversations become easier, communication becomes clearer, and confidence stops feeling like something you chase and starts feeling like something you already have within you. Every moment of our life, our body speaks before our mind even has a chance to respond. The way we stand, the way we breathe, the way our heart races, and the tension in our muscles, all of it tells a story about how we are feeling. If you ever want to master your emotions, if you ever want to face challenges without crumbling, the first place to start is not your mind. It is your body. Most people think they need to think their way out of fear, anxiety, or stress, but the truth is that the body leads the mind, not the other way around. When your heart races, your thoughts scatter. When your muscles are tight and your breathing is shallow, clarity disappears. Controlling your physiology is not some mystical trick. It is simple, practical, and available to anyone willing to pay attention. By learning to slow your body, you can calm your mind. When the mind calms, the world looks different. Problems shrink, solutions appear, and confidence rises naturally. Start with your breath. The breath is the bridge between your body and your mind. When you inhale deeply and exhale slowly, you send a signal to your nervous system that everything is under control. The simple act of slowing your breath tells your body that there is no threat, even if your mind is racing. Most people breathe shallowly, barely filling their lungs, especially when they are anxious or excited. They gasp, they pant, they hold tension without realizing it. But if you can take control of your breath, you can take control of your state. Deep, slow, controlled breathing is like pressing a reset button. With every calm inhale, you gather clarity. With every slow exhale, you release tension, doubts, and fear. It is one of the most underrated tools for personal mastery, yet it is available to everyone at every moment. Posture is another powerful tool. When you slump, hunch, or tighten your shoulders, your mind follows suit. Weak posture invites doubt, insecurity, and hesitation. Strong, relaxed posture communicates to your mind that you are in charge. Stand tall, open your chest, relax your jaw, and let your arms fall naturally. When you align your body in this way, your mind instantly feels more powerful. People often underestimate how much their physical state influences their thoughts. You cannot feel courageous while shrinking in fear. You cannot think clearly while your body is a mess of tension and stress. But when you control your body, you control the lens through which your mind views every situation. Movement, too, shapes your state. Fast, frantic movements increase anxiety and scattered thinking. Slow, deliberate movements create a sense of calm and focus. Even in daily life, walking slowly and purposefully, moving with intention, or even pausing before reacting to stress can dramatically shift your inner state. Your body is a language, and every gesture, every motion, communicates with your mind. If you want to think clearly, act decisively, or handle pressure gracefully, slow down your body first. Do not confuse speed with productivity or reaction with mastery. Mastery requires control, and control begins with the body. Your physiology affects your emotions more than you realize. A racing heart fuels panic. Tense muscles amplify fear. Rapid, shallow breathing triggers anxiety, but slowing the body interrupts this chain reaction. Calm the heart, relax the muscles, control the breath, and the mind follows. It is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be calm. It is about creating conditions where your mind can function optimally. The body is like the soil, and the mind is the plant. Nurture the soil, and the plant will grow strong. Neglect the soil, and no amount of mental effort will help. The beauty of controlling your physiology is that it is immediate and actionable. You do not need permission, a perfect environment, or external validation. You can choose right now to slow your breath, soften your shoulders, relax your jaw, and align your posture. You can decide to move deliberately instead of reacting impulsively. In those moments when fear tries to paralyze you, when anger wants to explode, when anxiety whispers lies, your body can be your anchor. Slow it down and the mind clears, focus it, and clarity emerges. Control your physiology, and you begin to master your life. Most people live their lives waiting for validation, constantly measuring their worth by how others respond to them. Every word they say, every action they take, is filtered through the lens of approval or disapproval. And this constant dependence on reactions is exhausting. It drains confidence, fuels anxiety, and traps people in a cycle where fear of judgment dictates their choices. The truth is, you cannot control how others respond, but you can control how you show up. You can control the energy, the effort, and the authenticity you put into every moment. Detaching from the outcome is not about caring less. It is about caring differently. It is about shifting your focus from trying to manipulate their response to mastering your own delivery, your own presence, your own excellence. When you focus on delivery, not reaction, you liberate yourself from fear and create a space where your best self can thrive. Think about every great speaker, every performer, every leader who inspires effortlessly. They do not live in the shadow of audience approval. They live in the moment, committed fully to their message, their craft, their purpose. They invest their energy in being clear, compelling, and authentic, and they let the response come naturally. When you are obsessed with how people will react, you dilute your energy. You hesitate, you second, guess, and you lose the power of your own voice. But when you detach from the outcome, when you focus solely on delivering your truth with conviction, magic happens. Your clarity sharpens, your confidence grows, and your presence commands attention without force. You realize that their reaction is theirs to manage, not yours to manipulate, and this is one of the most freeing lessons you can learn in life. Detaching from the outcome does not mean indifference. It means alignment. It means being aligned with your purpose, your effort, and your integrity rather than with applause or criticism. Imagine giving a speech, pitching an idea, or sharing a vision, not for approval, but because it matters, because it needs to be said, because it serves a higher standard. This mindset transforms fear into focus, hesitation into action, and anxiety into clarity. When you are outcome focused, every setback feels personal, every criticism feels like failure, but when you are delivery focused, you measure success by your effort, by the excellence of your craft, by the authenticity of your expression. The reaction becomes secondary, an afterthought, a variable you do not need to control, and in that space, creativity, courage, and confidence flourish. This principle applies not only to speeches or presentations, but to every interaction in life. When you focus on delivery in conversations, relationships, or professional endeavors, you free yourself from the trap of pleasing everyone. You free yourself from overthinking every word, every gesture, every nuance. You free yourself from the anxiety that comes from imagining all the ways people might respond. Instead, you invest fully in your contribution, in your authenticity, in your integrity. You become present, fully engaged, and unshakable by the unpredictable nature of others' opinions. People notice authenticity, energy, and effort far more than perfection or predictability. The universe rewards action and presence, not hesitation driven by fear of judgment. Detaching from the outcome also cultivates resilience. When your worth is tied to reactions, criticism feels like devastation, and rejection becomes unbearable. But when your focus is on delivery, criticism becomes feedback, setbacks become lessons, and rejection becomes irrelevant to your sense of purpose. You start to see every situation as a platform for mastery rather than a test of acceptance. You embrace challenges with courage, knowing that excellence is measured by effort, not by applause. You speak, create, act, and lead with confidence because your measure of success lies in your own hands, not in the fluctuating opinions of others. You realize that the greatest freedom comes when you stop trying to control what you cannot control and start perfecting what you can. At its core, focusing on delivery rather than reaction is about reclaiming your power. It is about anchoring yourself in effort, clarity, and authenticity instead of being tossed around by the unpredictable tides of others' judgments. When you give your best, when you speak your truth, when you act with integrity, you are already victorious, regardless of the applause or critique that follows. The more you practice this mindset, the more natural it becomes. You stop fearing reactions, stop overanalyzing outcomes, and start thriving in the present. And in that presence, in that commitment to your own delivery, you discover a freedom, a confidence and a mastery that cannot be shaken by anyone else. Confidence is not something you wait to feel before you act. Most people believe that confidence is an emotion, a feeling that comes and goes like the weather, that it must arrive before they can take bold action. That is a lie that keeps people small, hesitant, and trapped in fear. Confidence is a behavior, a choice, a deliberate set of actions you take regardless of how you feel in the moment. Walking in with purpose, standing tall, speaking clearly, and moving with intention are not the results of confidence, they are the behaviors that create it. When you choose to act as though you are confident, when you embody it through your posture, your tone, and your presence, the feeling will follow. Confidence is not an accident. It is a discipline. It is a decision to show up fully, even when doubt whispers that you cannot. It is a commitment to your own standards and to the way you carry yourself, no matter the circumstances around you. The first step is your posture. How you hold your body communicates more than any words you could speak. When you slump, shrink, or hesitate, your mind takes the cue that you are unsure, hesitant, or powerless. But when you stand tall, shoulders back, chest open, head high, and stride with purpose, you signal to yourself and to the world that you belong. The body leads the mind. The simple act of choosing a confident posture, even if you feel nervous or unsure, shifts your state instantly. People notice presence before they notice words. They feel energy before they process what you are saying. By walking in with purpose, you take ownership of the room, of the moment, and of yourself. You cannot wait for courage to arrive. You summon it by the way you carry yourself. Every step, every gesture, every breath is an opportunity to project strength and assurance. Your actions reinforce the belief in yourself. Speaking clearly, making eye contact, and engaging fully are behaviors that teach your mind that you are capable and deserving of attention. Confidence is not a magic emotion that appears overnight. It is built one deliberate act at a time. The more you behave confidently, the more your mind accepts the reality that you are capable. Hesitation and self-doubt diminish because they cannot survive in the presence of repeated, intentional behaviors. Every choice to act decisively, every moment you carry yourself with dignity and purpose, trains your nervous system to respond with courage instead of fear. Confidence grows like a muscle. It develops through repeated exercise, not passive wishing. The act of showing up fully, of walking in as though you already belong, creates the internal certainty that once seemed impossible to access. Purpose fuels confidence more than any external factor. When you are clear about why you are here, what you are doing, and what you intend to achieve, you walk differently. Purpose is visible in the way you enter a room, in the way you engage with others, in the way you speak. People feel the difference between someone moving through life aimlessly and someone walking with intention. Confidence without purpose is fragile. It can be shattered by criticism, obstacles, or self-doubt, but confidence anchored in purpose is unshakable. When your steps are aligned with your mission, your values, and your goals, your mind naturally follows the signal your body is sending. You do not need permission, validation, or reassurance from others. You do not wait for a perfect feeling of courage. You walk in with purpose, and courage, belief, and confidence catch up to your actions. Even in moments of fear or uncertainty, behavior can override feelings. Most people wait to feel brave before they take action. Most people shrink back because they think confidence must appear before they step forward. But the truth is that action comes first. Feeling comes second. You act with intention, you move with clarity, you project presence, and in doing so, your nervous system recalibrates. Anxiety diminishes, self-doubt recedes, and confidence is born from action, not the other way around. This is why leaders, performers, and high achievers often fake it until they make it. They understand that behavior creates feeling. They understand that walking in with purpose, with intention, with deliberate actions, is the gateway to a state of internal power that cannot be taken away. Ultimately, confidence is a habit, a practice, a way of moving through the world. It is not a feeling that arrives at your convenience. It is a choice that you make moment by moment through the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and the way you engage with life. Walk in with purpose, behave as though you are already capable, and the feeling of confidence will rise to meet you. It is a simple truth, yet one that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. The world responds to presence, not hesitation. The mind follows the body. The heart trusts action. You do not wait for confidence to find you. You create it with every deliberate step, every intentional breath, and every moment you choose to walk in fully with purpose.